What's up, guys? Me back here. I want to talk about something interesting. Um, so, you all must have, like, as product designers or in general design folks out there, you must have experienced something interesting. So, you're looking for a job, and you interview. If you luckily land an interview, for example, with you and you were basically in the middle of a technical interview, you prepare yourself as much as you can, and you have all of the case studies prepared for that specific routine. If you want to present a specific portfolio, a specific piece from a portfolio, basically, or something more elaborate, basically across the board from all of your nitpicking, several things from across your portfolio. So you can do that, right? So it depends upon what is being asked for and what's the objective, the main motive of the whole exercise here. Yes, they're trying to hire you, of course, that's the end goal, but or not. So but that's they're trying to look for the best candidate out there, I suppose. And in that situation, you're trying to do your best, right? Put forward your portfolio, whatever you've worked on. Select, given that you've preemptively been asked to do this, choose the best sort of project that you worked on or something like that along those lines. You pick out something that you really like, and then you present it as much as you best way possible you can, and you prepare for it, of course, beforehand. But when it comes to product design interviews, I believe it's definitely depends upon within the company's ecosystem as well, what they're trying to look for. Obviously, I've done a little bit of hiring here and there sometimes, and I know, like, I'm hiring for the company, so I know what they're looking for and what kind of environment they're coming into, and what kind of basically what kind of specialities they should have in terms of their knack and design wise, and then what kind of expertise they should have, tools and whatnot. And you're looking for all of those things. You're checking those boxes in a way. So HR kind of does a pretty good job, I guess, especially when I see HR folks, not in Pakistan primarily, but across the globe, and mostly in the first world countries. They have a very good idea what they're looking for, and they delve into understanding what expertise are needed, basically. So basically, they do their due diligence in a way. But even then, the gatekeeping is in the end of the day hand over to the technical interview people who are actually going to assess you for your abilities in a more deeper way and whatnot. So it's not the culture fit it's going to get you, it's one foot at the door, but it's when you get the whole body in after the interview, basically. So you got to do that, the whole thing, whole charade has to be done. The tests, maybe the infamous case studies and exercise and all that you go through. So, but my point is, a lot of times as product designers, we've been asked to, for example, showcase our best work. And when it comes to user experience research, UXR, any kind of user experience research, basically UX processes, and you start talking about those, and you really want to delve into it, right? As an interviewer, for example, you want to delve into it, and you want to showcase it as well as a candidate, for example. If you look in the eyes of the candidate, you probably want to showcase it as much as you can, how much you've worked on it, of course. But the problem comes when you see that basically you probably didn't really do an amazing work at documenting each and entire step of the way, the process when it comes to UX. You have the result, you have the tangible result of basically having the design in the end of the day, all of the exercises you have done, you have a tangible result. For example, you have a tangible product, which is probably in a working capacity or a prototype or whatever that you're trying to showcase. But you might not have the best user experience research at hand, and that becomes a pain in the neck sometimes when you're trying to look for a job or a project. You got to showcase your UX research process. So guys, do your due diligence in terms of documenting every step of the way, because I have faced this, and I'm facing this kind of every now and then. Even now I face that with some of my older projects where I'm really proud of, right? Pat on my back, basically. You love the project you worked on, and it checks all of the boxes, but it doesn't check the box when it comes to user experience research. You probably had done it, of course. Nobody's pointing any fingers, but basically you didn't really do a really amazing job at marketing it, basically documenting it, keeping that in a formidable way. You cannot even. So it's also kind of difficult to show that. Like, for example, the tangible evidence of user experience research is not really always there when you're in the process of doing it, like gathering information, and but you do your processes, right? For example, you do your design thinking process, right? So you choose a design thinking process that works for you within a certain ecosystem, right, in a company or a project or whatever. You do all of that, empathize, design, ideate, whatnot, refinement. But if you miss any of the steps along the way, especially the gathering insight, doing any kind of A/B testing, and even beforehand, doing goal setting basically, and things like that, and not documented the process in a way, it becomes a problem. But another problem, I think, besides that is, how do you really document that overall? Like, you take pictures while you're doing your synth and clustering, you're doing your mood boards, you have those visuals, right? You have those visuals. If you're doing it in a physical way, as a lot of the companies might do, in their boardroom, they have a war room, and they do their post notes, and they synth and clustering, basically, depending upon whatever capacity of team that they have. You're doing that, and do you take pictures? Do you document it in a way that you can then put it in a case study? And how much can you reveal about a certain product, the inner workings of a certain product? How you come to a conclusion as well? That's another problem. Are you allowed to do that? For example, if you worked on a half-cooked, half-baked product that went into prototype mode, got a lot of funding, something like that along the line, but now you have all of those things, but you sign an NDA or a non-compete clause, blah blah blah. You're legally not allowed to kind of expose every single bit of detail. The user experience, especially the research, is intellectual property. You did the research in their time, their money, on their time. So can you do that? So it's a nice. I mean, it would be nice to kind of meander your way through that whole theatric of not exposing too much sometimes, not talking too damn much about a certain product, but knowing enough. I think the end game is, conclusively, if I put it, it's good to know your numbers a little bit. So, for example, you do your certain market research, you're in healthcare, how many people are in the market and how many users are aligned in that market, blah blah blah. So yeah, and then do your evidence-based research, of course. You talk, how many people did you really talk to about a certain product, or you were working on whatever you were working on, basically, right? So those things are important. So yeah, documenting your UX process is friggin' damn important. If any of you are in the midst of doing this and not documenting this because you're in the thick of it and you're basically so into that whole process, you've engulfed into it, you gotta document that as well in a formidable way as well, so you can actually eventually look at it and as a when you're done with this project, so you can get more projects like this, because I've done all of this. How do I expose that without exposing obviously the actual research? Sometimes, a lot of times you can't do that, I believe. So it reduces a little bit of the credibility of the overall amazing work that you already have done as a product designer who's designed a product from scratch. And if it has worked in the market, was it a fluke, or you have done your due diligence, you did your research, you did your good amount of effort to understanding the product and all that, and you didn't document it? Damn, too bad. It's sad, but I think it's really important to kind of know while you're in the thick of it, first of all, to gotta document these things, but also don't skip leg day. Don't skip the main component, which is UXR. Don't skip those things, but it'll give the most strength to your project. It'll validate your project in a way, in a formidable way, because now you have viable, validated research to make informed decisions, meaningful decisions. Now, why did you make the decisions without? And it's not obviously UXR. You know exactly, based on HCI, for example, human computer interaction fundamental. You know the cognitive limitations and things like that. You know the usage model of a certain product that you're working, right? You know the usage model, or you getting to know that usage model. Within that realm, you know the basic principles that govern that. For example, you go to UX laws of UX, I guess, laws of UX.com. You go to that website, you see, yeah, you have a lot of laws that are, and those are nice. Like, you can actually use them when you're pitching something to client. It works wonderfully if they're willing to obviously listen. But in a stakeholder meeting, when you're trying to sell an idea and you know you have made these cognitive related to basic human cognition, you made these decisions, not just user experience research that you've done alone for this product, but generally as a consensus, you know these things are best practices because of these laws out there, psychological evaluations and everything is basically, you know that people have done their due diligence, they have done their work, and you can piggyback on those mainstream consensus that form the UX fundamental ideals, basically, and you using that. So you can say, okay, of course I'm doing these for your product, and then I'm doing, of course, very specific targeted user research for this specific product, like SWOT analysis and blah blah blah, branding exercise. So I personally have come to a point where I have encountered a situation where there's not enough ample UXR that's being documented in a way, or you might have not done it enough because it was not commissioned from the perspective of the stakeholders, and you were in the thick of it, as I said. It's good to focus on this. Remember, in hindsight, if you ever move away from this project, what are you going to do? You have to prove that you've done your UXR, you have done your user research. How have you done it? So do that on the back burner. Keep doing that. Try to do as much research as you can if you have the ability. Try to find your leverage. Okay, that's a very important thing. Second is basically, so you build your credibility there, right? By doing some UXR, even if it's not commissioned, just to reiterate. And secondly, once you build that product out there, you do your A/B testing, you do your other kinds of research basically, and that is also really important. And then you can put that up in a whole case study fashion, Behance or whatever, or your own personal website, and then that looks really nice. And if you want to learn a little bit more about, for example, learn a bit more about the processes, you don't know, you're not sure about it, nobody taught you that, you haven't done, for the most part, you haven't been involved in that sort of domain as much, and then you want to be, and you'd have generally don't have a time or probably not the funds to fund your endeavor at that point, maybe. But not necessarily funds, but I mean generally, yeah, that comes into play as well. You can go to Udemy. I've done that. If you don't have people who are doing it generally in your area, for example, workshops. I'm talking about, sorry, workshops, UX workshops. You can be a part of. It's good to be doing that, but if you're an introvert like me, you can dive into basically Udemy. So there's some really nice, and just pick out the best ones that you can, and then the latest ones, of course, which is very important, I guess, which is really extremely important, I guess, should be updated. So you pick one of the best. Nielsen-Norman Group is an amazing place to just understand the basic part. And Laws of UX is obviously another one. So Nielsen-Norman Group kind of not a gatekeeper, but it's like the central point where you get a lot of like major amount of research ideas and basically learning updation overall what is happening. For example, I read a really nice article about generative UI, right? So it's as generative AI, similar. spin of the coin terminology, but yeah. So you get that in websites like these. So get your get enough amount of research, but obviously courses or any kind of workshops will help you understand the process in a much more simpler way, rather than you find your own nitpick different processes. I've done that. It doesn't work out so well. It's really important to kind of understand what process is going to work, and what the most important processes, and what can work in a simple fashion, and actually be implementable as well in your own domain. So these two things are very important. Document your UX exercises, do them, of course, don't skip them. And then if you don't understand them, what to do and how to do it, starting point is go to Udemy, cheap courses out there just to get into it. And if you have a good learner, get the understanding. Go to Nielsen Norman Group his website, understand the specific terminologies or something you really want to specifically understand, read a blog about it. Toptal's got on the honorable mentions. Toptal has some nice articles as well over there, so check those out as well, about design tokens, something specific like that. Maybe UX laws is already out there. Obviously, you can talk about what UX laws kind of work. I put some effort into it as well, posting some stuff on LinkedIn as well. It was a good exercise, so check that out on my personal LinkedIn as well. Based on UX laws, I've done some, like, for example, examples of how to implement them, certain in do's and don'ts and things like that, basically. Yeah. So yeah, I just want to talk about UXR and how it affects and impacts the overall body of design of work that product designers do, and how entirely the whole topic of this ramble is how crucial it is to document UXR, and how crucial it is to learn your processes. Yeah, that's pretty much it from my side, I guess. And do let me know if you have any questions. You guys can chime in the comments. And I don't think that. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it, I guess, to talk about at this point. But yeah, you can come in and comment. Let me know if the blues of generally getting hired, what happens and what not, do's and don'ts. It's a difficult journey sometimes, a lot of times. But it's all about how you become a more shinier candidate amongst the other folks out there. It's very important to do that. Make sure you're ahead of the curve. Know your shit, basically know your stuff. So yeah, that's it. And then yeah, of course, let me know if you guys have any ideas or questions, and check out my LinkedIn, and you'll get some good content out there, what I've done regarding UX laws and some stuff besides that, like about typography and stuff like that, just basic design principles and things. All right, take care everybody.